ENDOFTHEDREAM. Yeah, you heard that right? What looked like a blockbuster move that could have completely reshaped the San Francisco 49ers has now taken a massive turn, and not in the way fans were hoping. If you've been following the buzz over the last few days, you'd know there was serious talk, serious smoke, and maybe even a bit of fire around Myles Garrett potentially landing in San Francisco. But now, one of the most trusted voices in NFL news has stepped in and shut it all down. And honestly, it's a bit of a gut punch. So let's break this down properly, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and some of it might surprise you. Grab a seat, because this isn't just another rumor getting debunked. This feels like the end of something fans were really starting to believe in. It all started with whispers. Quiet at first, then louder. Reports started floating around that the 49ers were exploring a massive defensive upgrade. Not just any upgrade, we're talking about one of the most dominant pass rushers in the league. A bloke who can change games on his own. Naturally, fans got excited. You could already picture it, couldn't you? That defensive line becoming absolutely unstoppable. And let's be real, it made sense on paper. The 49ers have always built their identity around a strong defense. Bringing in someone of Garrett's caliber would have been the kind of move that sends a message to the entire league: we're all in. Social media went into overdrive. Fans were dreaming. Analysts were debating. Some were even convinced it was already in motion. But as we've seen, time and time again in the NFL, not everything that looks close actually happens. Then came the moment that changed everything. The latest update dropped, and it didn't just cool things down, it completely flipped the narrative. According to what's now being reported, the idea of Garrett heading to the 49ers isn't just unlikely, it's essentially dead. Yeah, dead. And that's where things get interesting. Because the question now isn't just why didn't it happen, it's was it ever actually realistic to begin with? Let's dig into that. First off, you've got to consider the financial side of things. Moves like this don't just happen because a team wants them to. There are contracts, cap space, negotiations, and in this case, those hurdles were massive. We're talking about a player who commands top-tier money. Fitting that into an already stacked roster? Not easy. Not even for a team as well-managed as San Francisco. Then, there's the trade cost. If you want a player like Garrett, you don't get him cheap. You're giving up serious draft capital, possibly multiple high picks, maybe even key players. That's a huge gamble, especially for a team that's already built to compete right now. And here's the thing: the 49ers don't just think short-term. They've been very smart about maintaining a balance between winning now and staying competitive in the future. Selling the farm for one player, no matter how elite, might not fit that strategy. So when this latest report came out, it didn't just feel like a rumor getting shut down. It felt like reality stepping in. But still, you can't help but wonder what could have been. Imagine that defensive line with Garrett added to the mix. Quarterbacks wouldn't stand a chance. Offensive coordinators would be losing sleep. It would have been chaos, the good kind, for 49ers fans. Instead, what we're seeing now is a reset. The hype is fading. The excitement is cooling off. And fans are left trying to process how something that felt so close could disappear so quickly. But here's where things take another twist. Just because this move isn't happening doesn't mean the 49ers are done making moves. Not even close. If anything, this tells us they're actively exploring big options. They're looking. They're thinking. They're trying to find that edge that could push them over the top. And that should actually excite fans. Because it means the front office isn't sitting back. They're not settling. They know what's at stake, and they're willing to make bold decisions even if not all of them come to life. Now, let's talk about what this means moving forward. For starters, the current roster stays intact, at least for now. That means the core group, the players who've already proven they can compete at the highest level, will continue to carry the load. And let's not forget, this team is already incredibly strong. But there's also a bit of pressure now. Because when a big opportunity like this slips away, fans start expecting something else. Another move. Another surprise. Something to fill that gap of excitement. And the front office knows that. So don't be shocked if we start hearing new names, new rumors, new possibilities in the coming days or weeks. That's just how this works. At the same time, there's a lesson here for fans. In the world of NFL news, things can change fast. One minute, you're dreaming about a blockbuster signing, the next minute, it's gone. That's the nature of it. It's unpredictable. It's chaotic. And honestly, that's part of what makes it so addictive. But let's not forget the bigger picture. The 49ers are still contenders. That hasn't changed. One missed opportunity doesn't define a season. It doesn't erase the talent already on the roster. And it definitely doesn't mean the dream is over completely. It just means this version of the dream didn't happen. And maybe that's okay. Because sometimes the moves you don't make are just as important as the ones you do. So where do we go from here? Well, for fans, it's about staying patient, staying engaged, and keeping an eye on what comes next. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that this team is always working behind the scenes. And for the 49ers themselves, it's about sticking to their plan, trusting their system, and continuing to build a team that can go all the way. The dream of Myles Garrett in San Francisco might be over, but the bigger dream, that's still very much alive. And if anything, this moment just adds another layer to the journey. So don't switch off. Don't lose hope. Because in the NFL, the next big story is always just around the corner. Imagine that defensive line with Garrett added to the mix. Quarterbacks wouldn't stand a chance. Offensive coordinators would be losing sleep. It would have been chaos, the good kind for 49ers fans. Instead, what we're seeing now is a reset. The hype is fading. The excitement is cooling off. And fans are left trying to process how something that felt so close could disappear so quickly. But here's where things take another twist. Just because this move isn't happening doesn't mean the 49ers are done making moves. Not even close. If anything, this tells us they're actively exploring big options. They're looking. They're thinking. They're trying to find that edge that could push them over the top. And when it hits, you'll want to be ready.